really having some exciting games. A lot of the teams showing up big. Some of them overperforming. Some of them somewhat underperforming. But there's still plenty of time to turn it around as of yet.
Yeah, there's definitely some teams that we expected to do a little bit more, but haven't quite. There's some teams that I don't think we expected the lows from, all things considered. Of course, Northern Lights is one of those teams that had a great start, and then everything's kind of been a bit woo.
But I'd rather have a woo than I would want to have boo.
Yeah. That's fair.
Some teams have had that. Surprisingly as well, one of the teams, obviously, the long haul team, my pick example, and Navi have had a really rough one so far.
Yes.
Really hoping for them so they don't have we're halfway through. Not looking good. Decent, we're going to go PTC anyway, but still, you want to have a good amount of practice going into PTC, good amount of games against a lot of the teams that you're going to be playing against in PTC. So really hoping for Navi to step up today.
I'm glad you understood my woo. That was me speaking Danish.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go to the schedule here, as we have 5 games coming at you for today. So let's take a look at which battlegrounds we are going to be playing those on. Because we will be starting off with 3 Erangels and moving over to 2 Miramars later on. And in a rough time, as we said, there has been a disparity in terms of results. Some teams have not fared well on Miramar, some teams have not fared well on Erangel.
Yeah, huge notable name that has been way more present on Erangel than elsewhere. Northern Lights really started off really hot and then crashed harder than the UK economy. But for teams like the Overpeakers, maybe not such a good thing. Yesterday's Erangel, they only picked up 4 points across the 2 games, but they have proven that they are able to do it. Game number 1, they won out the first win of the day, hoping to do that again.
And here are the overall standings right now. Good old Polish power in number 1 here against Northern Lights. Win or die, 3rd place as well here, Martin. What are you taking away from it?
Yeah, notably 14 points difference from first place to 5th, so one great game with double digits. And a chicken dinner would put you straight into first place if you're anywhere there. And also from fellas and all the way down, our middle pack is kind of close and big as well.
It's really much closer than we would have anticipated at this point in the tournament. As so many times, time and time again, that these top-level teams have overperformed. It looked like that was going to be the case. Still a ridiculous average damage coming from Northern Lights, but have been somewhat invisible in comparison.
Yeah, and really not expected in that regard, I think is fair to say. So that was obviously, you saw Northern Lights versus Polish Power there. I think Polish Power is probably riding a pretty nice high right now, considering the performances that we've seen from them. That's a lot of P's for the Polish Power here, Martin. What do you think?
I love it.
Yes,
I know you continue with more words with P.
I'll try I'll save some for next segments just for you.
Yeah, but for sure, they can ride on this high morale, high intensity they've had here. And I want to see them continue this very aggressive play style because we've seen it not work in other PCS tournaments.
Yeah.
6 was pretty bad for them in terms of the qualifiers that didn't make it through to the finals. But they played really well in G-Loot. 5 and 6.
True.
Got 4th and 5th place. Really well played by them. And that's what I want to see them end up here. After this consistency here in the first 2 days, I'm pretty sure they can ride top 5 finish into the entire of the Grand Finals here.
And let's compare 2 teams that did pretty well for themselves yesterday, I think it's fair to say. Win or Die and Fellas as well here, because both of these teams had a great day 2 saga, and now they're coming in looking for more.
Top 2 in terms of points gathered on day 2 in the lobby. Win or Die really showed that what they were able to do in the elimination stage, the qualifying round, where they completely dominated as soon as some of those bigger name teams were in the lobby. It's not quite the same level of domination, but they can still assert themselves as a top team and a solid contender.
Definitely so. It's nice to see the fellas doing well, Martin. Obviously, kind of a deep affinity for the Brit boys. It's nice to see Michael being able to perform at this level, all things considered. Across the board, the roster is a great roster.
Yeah, for sure. And I loved the interview we heard yesterday from Tixu. Very finished interview. Also, when asked, why does Michael have twice as much damage as you? Oh, well, damage doesn't get any points on the board. Well, for the fantasy, of course, but he's right. You want to focus on one, get the points for them in game, right? And they actually had to step up yesterday. If they didn't do, they're going to be outside the top 10. And for them to go to PGC, we need to see something like a top 4, top 3 finish, depending on who else can get first and second, of course.
And Win or Die existence, extents. Close enough.
Well, he's certainly not in existence anymore, is he?
No, he will be sitting out the first game, at least I think. Which is a little bit of a shame because of the fact that, he was doing so well.
He's been carrying a lot of weight, not only for the squad, but for the personal fantasy teams. This one does hurt little bit more, but it's not too bad all in all. Win or die, they've definitely proven that it's not a one-man team at all. Gushara,
Yes.
Leosh, they have really been contributing pretty much the whole way through, and a lot of late-game appearances from them. They are actually one of the teams that has the most in terms of placement points overall. So the consistency is there, and they found the fragging power to be able to close one out as well, but whether it will be a little bit of a different situation coming in with the substitute, time will tell.
Yeah, true. Let's take a look at the Twire.gg leaderboards right now as well for the talent, because I'll tell you who has been consistent. It's old Saga, who's in joint first place right now. I'm trailing behind the second English talent, but at least I'm beating Martin. That's all important. But Saga, you're doing pretty well right now.
Yeah, it looks good now, but I'm feeling a little bit myself, having heard
Danish,
the information about Extan stepping back. He was definitely a big performer on my team. But this is the Ruin Redemption arc. Remember, Mr. Howell on my team. It's not gone well so far, but overall, not too terrible. So I'm hoping for big things.
I'm going to be real. They can't do much worse.
True.
Look at Saga's team in the shadows.
Clean.
Disappeared.
All using stealth level 4.
That's right. Yeah, good stuff. But no, Saga's team in general, Martin, doing well. Extans, of course, was performing fantastic.
Michael too.
Michael, yeah, true.
Michael, 40 more points than Ruin. Ruin, unfortunately, I really want to see him step up because we have seen some good performances from him in recent years as well, right?
So that isn't my team.
Really hope that is your team.
No, it's not even my team.
I think that's the fella I'm tied with on 199 points. But you know what? It's good to see because that does prove the point that Gushara is also contributing pretty solidly.
Yeah, that is fair. That's a really good point there.
You're right.
Example.
That is Ruballer's team.
There you go. Yeah. Example less so, but I feel like eventually there is going to be an example step up because Navi has to step up, right?
Yeah. This is the long haul play, an example pick like that.
Saga, there's his team. Here's the highlights. That was very Toffees of me. I'm sorry.
It really was.
Saga's signature, Saga's signature team here, fantastic. Ruin, I'm happy to see some from him there, but unfortunately,
music.
Yeah. And then Calaris' team.
Here's Calaris' team, the soon-to-be first-place team, because again, as I say, example will have the step up. Navi will step up. I am guaranteed.
It is Scav holding you back. He has done 2,300 damage, example. And he's going to continue to do so. You can definitely tell he's going to end in the 8 to 10,000, maybe 12,000 damage if he steps up today here.
The usual
example, right? The question is, if Navi really kind of gets through, if they get a top 4, top 5 finish, he's going to have the kills as well.
I think that's fair what you say, Saga. Ents has had that Saga again. Guys, I know we look the same, but if you could just... Saga, when you look at Ents and how they're having a good time... Yeah, look at that handsome guy.
Thank you.
We can't recognize Ents has not had a good time, but they had such a good time in the group stage with Scav and Misa doing pretty well for them as well.
It's the same situation for Austrian Force as well. They really popped off in the group stages, and it's really not gone to plan whatsoever. Obviously, we can chalk a little bit of it up to the crazy, wild, chaotic circles that we've been seeing, very unexpected areas, an oasis zone of all places, a couple of rough rotations from Severny up on the northern side for Ents as well, but I just need to make something work. But some teams are finding a lot of success on playing in from the edge, coming in late, but it just really seems to be a situation where the best game they've had is where they proned next to a rock with two cars and
the hard thing about this is the reason why Ents and Navi is not succeeding is because they're having really, really rough circles. The hardships, the ping pong hardships, is what is playing against their play style. Mostly when you're playing, circle 2, circle 3, trying to get into an edge and hope that you're going to get somewhat of a circle, and then it ping pongs to the other side and continues to do so. When you're playing slow like they do, very edge meta, and it's kind of good. Not so many teams right now playing that heavy edge meta as they are, but we're having so many rough circles that are not attributing any points towards them. So if they maybe catch a little bit more circle luck here and maybe not just against them all the time, we will see some good games from them today.
That is a good point. We have had what I would consider an anomaly when it comes to the amount of hardship you've had here so far, Saga. And that does, in my opinion, kind of skew results a little bit in terms of those great teams sometimes just having that unlucky streak, as Venture saying.
I think it's not only the fact that it is all the hardships, but the positioning of them as well, particularly the game we think back where it was looking like it was going north of the Georgia Pole River and then it comes back south again. And that really threw a lot of teams off their game plan. They were set up for really good positions on the northern side of the river and suddenly it's all thrown out of the window. It's very, very tough to adapt to those situations. And it's really showing that how at this level, teams that really aren't able to exploit it the ones that are starting to falter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, beyond your Ences, your Navis, your Avenger, who are you looking to step up in this third day? Because the third day is kind of important. You're then going on a break. You then have VOD review to be able to really kind of sink your teeth into. So who are you looking to have another step up?
It's definitely Navi that I'm looking to completely turn around here. But I'm also looking a little bit of FaZe, hoping that they're gonna have some good games today, potentially. Also had some kind of rough circles against them of where they're playing. They're making the right decisions, but then again, if you're having back like shifts away from the position that you're kind of setting up, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. How about yourself, Saga?
I think for me, I've seen a couple of things that I do like out of teams like Ascend. Again, Austrian Force teams that came through very strong in the group phase, but hasn't really translated over to the grand finals where it really counts.
Well, once again, I feel a slight feeling of surprise in that some of our teams that are invited teams, they've gone through the grind of actually being able to qualify. They're doing pretty well right now on this stage in these first 2 days. Saga, Stardust especially as well. I didn't have huge hopes for them on stage like this, but they've not done too bad.
Really, for MEA, it's been a very solid appearance, considering that BBL, a team who we would really all look at as the MEA team, hasn't made an appearance here. But the appearance not only of Stardust and the consistency they've been able to carry over from their late appearances in the qualifiers, but Foot Esports as well, particularly in these chaotic urban close-range engagements. And Odin put a shotgun in that man's hands. He's going to kill at least 4 people.
Yeah, but the problem for them is they need top 3 to contest BBL. BBL not playing 290 points. You need top 3. You need those 65 points plus what you have right now. So Howl, Stardust, these teams, they need that amount of points to go through to PGC. Right now, you have some teams at the very top that are just trailing just a little bit ahead of what we've been seeing from them so far. So they need a little bit of a step up to what their consistent performance is right now. And even on Foot, for example, even better as well. Still trading that mid pack there. 2 good games here today. Could set them in within striking distance to the 3. And that's really what I'm hoping to see for some of these teams.
Well, we are just a few minutes out to the game, but before we get to that, we can probably actually look back at a moment. I believe it is from Question Mark, who is also doing quite well here so far, and see what's going on there.
Я даю флешку слева. Правый рельефа тоже надо. Вот правый передо мной. Я туда флешку.
Одно хп.
Найс. Я хая даю.
Право, давай хая под него.
Даю.
Я жду. Давай.
Флешку перед вами даю.
Я ушел.
Я ему флешку дал.
Я в смоке живу.
По стенке тип бежит. Подождите, рисаю.
Слева у тебя?
Право,
Флешку мы дал.
Я играю по смокам.
Он далеко был, он сюда прям не бежал.
Они справа пойдут, по смокам играю. Рисайтесь.
Преснулись.
Вы добили, да?
Да.
Все, 4-3.
Я дойду назад.
Пикнем лево, Хоббит. Вот так просто.
Подожди, не торопись.
Право ХГ дам ты занял.
Не надо, Ферзь.
Чуть снизу никого не вижу, они на вету шли. Нету.
Флешки только.
Дайте звук.
Флешки вперед передо
У
мной.
меня чел. У меня ботинка.
Передам-то, давайте флешки.
У меня слева тип.
Ног лево, смотрю право.
У меня ног.
У вас передо мной где-то. Хорошо.
Найс.
Is it the season of question mark? Because it really does feel that way from year on year. They were able to qualify for the previous EGC, and now, I mean, they're looking good. They could potentially do it yet again, Saga.
They were one of the few teams who really profited from Miramar yesterday, having the 3 games. But what really seems to be a bit of a concern for them is the way that they're constantly finding themselves in more or less the same position as Fellas. It's obviously a bit of a product of the drop spots being so close together up towards the north and northwestern side of the zone, but they're playing a very similar style where it's a western rotate to come in quite late, and Fellas tend to be the ones that reverses those rotates, and the hard shift are just really baiting QM into positions where they can't capitalize as well. And we saw that on Erangel. They only picked up a grand total of 2 points across the Erangel games yesterday, so fell off quite heavily towards the end.
What I really like from Question Mark as well this year is Phil first. He's been really a force to be reckoned with here. Some of the games we've been seeing from him, high damage, 1K club, here 7 Europe Grand Finals, really been putting out the numbers and putting it into to Question Mark's hands there. And top 5 for them could mean that they're going to be PGC.
Yeah, be exciting. Will be exciting indeed. You guys at home as well can not only be involved by watching the stream and things like that, you can also check out the new merch that is available here for a PCS7 as well. You go to emea.merch.pubg.com. Yes, and you can grab yourself some nice, tidy merchandise.
Clean with it.
Yeah, very nice indeed. Very nice. All right, well, gentlemen, thank you very much. I think that is now time. We are ready for game number 1, as we are going to head over to the commentating team. You've had a day of rest. Toby, are you ready for this game?
I am incredibly ready. Looking forward to 3 games over on Erangel. How about you? How about feeling good about today?
Yeah, actually, to look at some of the positives from the last few games yesterday, not like it's not right? We'll park that if they can do anything today at the start of the day, but that's definitely a concern. Now with Polish Power actually improving massively on what we were talking about in terms of keeping pace with kills, they're actually now ahead.
Yeah.
So that's really concerning. I'm hoping there's going to be some adaptation today.
You would have to hope so, right? When you have a team like Northern Lights, you also have to keep in mind these guys have only really performed on one map. Like they might as well just not have played in Miramar at all because nothing's been going on. What I want to see from Northern Lights today, though, is saw it yesterday. Whether it was an accidental tap of the webcam or what was their frustration on the team. They're used to being in top, and yesterday people made fools of them. I want to see how they bounce back today, looking how they were yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's as well. I mean, I'd say yes. In my eyes, it feels kind of unacceptable for a team of that standard to be in some of the situations we saw them in, right?
Yeah.
Like I was saying, actually on a match by match basis, but also that early game on Miramar still sticks out. And like I said, I couldn't sing their praises enough yesterday. Polish Power, Marcelek in particular, being the one to really construct that push to close out the second kill. It's things like that are going to be pretty tilted. If teams are just looking to mess with you, they see you in the kill feed and totally adapt their early game kind of macro to really build upon that. It can be frustrating.
For sure. We're looking down towards Northern Lights here. School app splits, what they've got going on. Yesterday we saw a bit of an audible, I'd say, from Overpeakers. Symbols in the circle, not usually something.
Okay,
Oh
right.
yeah.
So, like I said, the one-off is once that starts to that's when it becomes even more concerning. So, I mean, we'll wait to see where the circle's going to pop today. Okay. Well, we had a couple of vanilla ones on a regular, at least just about a kilometer or so areas from the center. But we did have this on day one, if I believe.
Yeah, we were down in this area.
We
ended up hard shifting. It was pretty much just a full-on magnet on towards Gustav down in farm. Whether he ignited that with his Molotovs, I'm not sure, but the game show went down in that direction. One thing that's interesting with this circle being in this particular game, though, no one's military.
Yeah.
No one's prim. No one's very prim. Obviously, north side plane coming in. I'm curious to see, obviously, everyone knowing the plane path. How many teams are going to try and utilize that? Maybe make south rotation over the military island. Question mark looking to them to potentially be a team who want to do that. We heard a bit about them before from the analysts desk. Them and fellas kind of rubbing shoulder to shoulder for a while now. Usually the team to come out on top. There's a big question mark maybe getting that kind of wraparound opportunity to avoid confrontation altogether.
And typically, obviously, Stardust that drops down towards Ferry Ferry as well. We did see him obviously set up that bridge camp on Ascend, who are up in Zaki. So, kind of some of the usual suspects down in this area, the map not present, but there are definitely opportunities there. I mean, it's really on the fly if teams have really been able to look at this circle from the previous instance and say, actually, what are the tendencies here? What can we do a little differently? So I think FaZe were there pretty early. Northern Lights ended up winning that game, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
But some of the threats along the south coast were what seems to just kind of hugged Western Edge as it came in. But esports being the exception to the rule, they stayed very late on Sosnovka, if I believe. But actually got themselves. I think Navi was split slightly off to the northwest. It's going to be interesting here because you look at the setup here, and it's always concerning to look at some of the early rotation paths, right? You look along that dirt road that sits north of Navi and Snake, and those are areas you don't really want to get stuck up with. But you're going to be sending down Milter Highway and really looking for that. Northern Lights, another example, they had that 2-2 split across both sides of the road very early on.
For sure. We just took a look at some of the stats from Rustin here. One thing that really caught my eye was not only is he currently averaging over 400 damage as his first place, which is absolutely phenomenal, sitting almost 500 damage ahead of Perfectix, and that is not a guy you get ahead of in damage normally. Well, another statistic he's in first place in, though, average health recovered, which means that not only is he shooting at everything, but every team is shooting at him, but he manages to stay alive for all of it.
Yeah, it's kind of active damage, right? It's within fights, and when fellas have been another team like Foot Esports that have looked really, really keen to breach on regular occurrences and also take those very, very scrappy urban fights. Foot Esports actually thrive in, even though it's not really reflected on the left side of the screen. I'm just gonna come. I'm seeing.
Are they going past?
Yeah, I don't know if Navi anticipating this, but the engine cut, that's almost like they're primed and ready for somebody to be up top here. I mean, he's got to have his head on a swivel here.
Again, I mean, two top teams with plenty of odds to go by. They must know the usual early rotations from these teams. Vex has absolutely zero
Vex has been
clue that
spotted.
Melman is looking his way now. Does he see them?
No, he didn't.
Nope, no clue at all. Fortunately, he's on the backside of the roof, so they won't see him instantly. Melman hold action in hand.
He's got to see it now.
Yeah, you'd have to
I
assume
think that
so.
might be him pinging right there.
Yep. Melman, Elliot looking over. Vex is still up on the roof side, though. And look at this. As much as Navi and, Elliot and Melman think that they've got something going, else from the other side might just disrupt it and save Vex altogether.
Nothing to land, though, but forces Na'Vi off punishing Vex for the time being.
I like
Navi
this
actually-
flex out, too, because they knew they had they knew they had farm under control. I thought they were going to dip on that and just try and go even further. Take control of farm, push 2 up, see if you get even more.
I mean, if it's on the back of confirming that information, it's fairly risky in my eyes. Knowing that there's a team there, if there's a straggler that's late looting somewhere, that's what kind of can make this a little bit more difficult to justify.
But maybe that's what Navi needs at this point. I mean, I feel like they've been playing.
I don't
they've
think
been
they need
playing.
to be taking
No,
risks.
I mean, you say that, but I feel like what's been their issue so far has been they've been playing on the back foot. They've been caught by surprise in so many different situations where they haven't been ready for anything. Here, they make an active, aggressive decision, which is usually, I mean, regardless of the time of the game, is usually where you see the thrive.
I'm not so sure. The way in which we've seen Navi has been kind of committing to the wrong areas of the circle. I think back to the Miramar one, pulling up in front of FaZe, it's just a total lack of awareness of all the Knights being able to pressure that rotation, coming in so late, and then actually pulling up. And like I said, it's blind. There's no way that they can. I feel like they need to position early and kind of hold on to what they've got. They've been putting themselves in really awkward positions to take team fights. I mean, I even said it yesterday. About the only positive to come away from Na'Vi is that they're either alive as 4 or they die as 4 within the blink of an eye.
And one usually follows the other very quickly. It's as if they don't get to alive as full very long, then they all go down. But maybe they heard what you said. I'm not sure. They all seem to go very fast back towards farm, that's for sure. So for now, Navi are set safe. Same thing going on for Northern Lights. Again, despite the success on the first day of Erangel, yesterday was a little lackluster. See what they can get going here.
This is a little different as well. If you compare the previous circle, obviously, I think around the 4.5 minute mark, they were diving towards Milton Highway just to get that 2-2 split set up nice and early. Some round, it's Batuna is up on Potato and holding on to New Compound Spiral split to the north. So maybe a bit of an adjustment here, maybe with the center of the circle being a bit further north and actually off to the east than previous. They're just kind of playing off this circle 2 shift, but definite change up here.
Exalt currently in 2-1-1 split. I mean, I guess the majority of the player 2 are in heaven, but they've just been pulled up on by 3 from N. Scap, still up towards the north, kind of making sure no one's pulling up behind them. But, I mean, obviously, Ferris and Fate have had the vehicles, but curious to see if Squeak and Nuki realizes the threat on the other side. You can see Fate roaming around. Molotov now coming up to help. Again, vehicles will probably have been hurt, but Art still playing down towards Alamo on the southern side.
I'm not sure how early Molotov actually just cut his engine, so...
I have to assume it's early enough, though, right?
Yeah.
Are they leaving?
And don't like what they
that
see.
might be off of hearing the car, though.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Yeah, they're going, wait, okay, we haven't seen anything, but that car doesn't just come alone coincidentally at this time. They heard something, the cavalry has arrived now, there's no reason to fight with.
Opportunity towards the coast, at least.
Yeah, for which they might be very nice rewarded, because down towards the east, I mean, it's only Foot Esports in the entire area of, well, anything east of Milton. There's no one down there, but Foot Esports, and they're barely even there.
I mean, just north of that, you got Polish Power still up in the Popka.
It would be a gauntlet to run.
This,
it would be a tricky race down the middle, sure, but just saying, there's gold at the end of that rainbow.
Yeah, I mean, Iro's scouting the cliffside, but I'm seeing
if you can touch the first turret, if you can get around the first turret,
right along the road, Toby, and
it's
kind of filling me with anxiety.
Yeah, Marsalik might have hurt this because they're wrapping up towards a somewhat ambush position. Yep, in the meantime, Phyllis, Ascent setting up, and now here they come. Actually, Marsalik setting up on the other side of the road. He was positioned for push to the other side. Now, here they come up and straight towards them. Cabby instantly dealt with. I say that headshot connected, but no knock. So there you go. First one falls.
Actually, Crunio with the response onto Nuki, though, so hence have to pivot back here. Marsalik hops back in the vehicle. Nuki going to be confirmed by Crunio.
In the middle of the open, too. There's no way you expect someone to be running around on the beach like that.
Even driving down this road, but then committing to the 4-man crash onto Warehouse, it's relatively uncomfortable. but for the time being, it'll just be a 1-for-1. I'm
They-
not sure actually if Norcus is even looking to take active angles here.
Just an off angle. We look on up towards an ascend engagement, and I think they call this bluff. They say there can only be one player in here, and indeed there's Miracle all on his own. The rest of the fellas players aren't around. I mean, they are around the compound, but no one's there to defend him.
And Brexcar and Kurika looking to breach the building immediately. Miriku's got himself set up very close on the door, though.
Don't go
Not
into
going
the
to see
dome.
that at all.
Don't
Miraku,
go.
I'm not sure why he goes in solo here. Miriku's just giving a freebie. Michael's pulling up now as well. The reinforcements, they're flooding in.
Sure, that's a nade straight to the face. Though if there was headshots and nades, that would have been it for sure. Cook's down. Michael is still alive. The info must have been given that there's another player somewhere in here. So find that flush as fast as you can. Now Chris, head to head with Michael, just on the other side. Headshot confirmed, but there comes a swing around the side. Kill. See what they commit to. We'll see what they also do over this. Nate doesn't go in. Michael should be able to get back scrub. Chris up and alive as well. They still commit to this. I mean, they have the opportunity potentially to rest run. As I say, that Miracle does go down. Rostermont Tixo now alone against 4 and 3 from Ascent.
Straight in through the door on the roof here, but no possibility even to push on the back of that.
Rostermont up on the roof he goes, trying to find somewhat of an off angle. Could potentially jump over towards the roof on the other side. You would have to assume that would have been hurt, though, should he up to do so. Spotsmaker knows he's in the bathroom now. Doesn't get anything off.
Rostermont shows his hand, though, almost revealing that he's up on the rooftop here. I'm not sure where that nade's going, but actually does a ton of damage onto Tixu. Forces him into an awkward situation. Rostermont gets himself on the rooftop. This could be huge.
Exactly. Does the nade prevent the audible cues? He's now on the staircase. You'd have to think that at this point they would have heard where he comes from. Spot one headshot connected once again. Rostenmar staying alive for all of this. They know the damage was done, though. They push him. They take him down, and now Tixu, all that's left alive for fellas here early on in game number 1 of the day.
Tixu slips inside the smoke. Bresco almost reading it here. Mika, I think, going to catch sight lines of him. Well handled by Ascend. Fellas out in 16th. Kind of pinning things on being meanwhile, Toby.
Yeah.
Right down below Milton Power here.
Well, I mean, I said there was gold in the rainbow, and where it ends, well, they're looking their way towards the mini mills of power, and I'd say that's a pretty decision to claim issue, being Lyron is applying enough pressure right now. They're not going to up to go for it. So, Hectic Circle 2 to follow the first one. I feel like it's been simple phase 1s, wild phase 2s. That's kind of been the name of the game so far in these first 3 days.
Curious if Ascend can try and come in here across the Lipovka side. No problem if they go straight towards prison or shelter. Oh dear. Oh.
Double. To go back to that fight, though, real quickly between Ascent and Phyllis, I don't know if it's just me, but that was messy. Like, it just seemed like... I don't know if it's just because the first fight of the day, they just gotta get warmed up real quick. It was because the shots were... Just if there was miscommunication across the board, a lot of times, the way they were approaching things, are we committing to this, are we backing out? It seemed like there weren't really a full commit on either side early on. And the breaks were going in alone as well. There was just a lot of seemingly miscommunication.
Yeah, I don't really fault the pull up from Ascend. Again, I think they confirmed the information. There was only really one, but like I said, if you do that, then
Unless Ascent comes out on top, surprisingly, honestly, without things not losing a single player. Essentially, that's this right
yeah.
Scaff, how are you doing? You got everything going down there.
For esports and phase in prime real estate.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We know the circle's going to go towards the land come next one, so Wu setting up shop down towards the south side compound. Phase over towards the western foot esports, of course, still with control of the north side mini Milton.
I'm very concerned actually of how many players there are still positioned towards Milton. Eyes go to Northern Lights question mark and RV being the ones in the position. Be careful with that. Kyurikai just hopped straight. Oh, he's actually found the knock. It's traded through here.
Gets one, but instantly goes down as well. 2 players in this car, 2 Norcus, Marslake trying to get alive. Or trying to get away alive, I should say. Mika's just jumped out of his vehicle trying to find them, and now it's Polish Power with the hard cover.
Chris has actually had to pull up on the backside of this. Still a little bit tagged up from
Wait,
Blue as
Howl
well.
pulling up on this too? I'm seeing them coming in here. Winai's doing the exact same thing. Issue is, you gotta get out of that pubg. Was fortunately able to do just that, but now he's out in the open. Vehicle would have had him had it not been because Melman is able to get him down. Knock comes through, flush to follow. There you go, 1 kill for Na'Vi.
Actually, I think Howard just using that as a distraction to actually bypass
Not a bad
Polish
play.
Power and Ascend. Actually, the circle already shifting to Brexco and Ixgris. Gonna have problems here. 8C will find ETM on the way through. Leos tagged up as well. Confirm that kill. In the door on the more awkward side, but they do have a window to vault in. Actually, it's Ibby from the other side to find it.
Again, for those of you guys who didn't hear, Extends out here for the first match of the day. He's, well, doesn't really matter too much anymore because BTM was his replacement. Now he's out. So we'll see come next game if Extends is going to be back in the mix.
This has gone from bad to worse for Polish Power because they're now rotating right past Foot Esports. Western the one to find both of them on the way through. Norcus and Marcus will fall. Polish Power out in 15th. A troublesome rotation on the way through. Speaking of troublesome, Northern Lights running the same gauntlet.
This is the full send, no holding back here. Literally putting a break on the speed and hoping for the best. We'll see where they go.
Lose one shot.
Down to low HP, trying to make his run on forward. He's priming a nade in case they were coming towards him, but they're going towards Stardust. No, actually, as a matter of fact, that's Overpeakers heading their way towards Stardust.
On the pull-up here, it's initially a trade back and forth. Nelcop's down. About to get flushed now. Eames going to eat Molotov on the outside of the window. Actually been picked up already.
But down to low HP, able to back off of that one. Smoke going forward. Metabay jumps down for info. I would assume Mexi has that more damage being done here with the utility.
And there's nades coming in from Austrian Force as well. Mexi got to stick to a first aid now. It's really slowing down this breach. Vard going to try and get a nade into the top floor, but both members of Stardust actually positioned on the ground floor.
Yep. Overpeakers can't really get the entry here. Navi able to backfill pretty looking at the way they're kind of surrounding this, trying to pin them in up against the wall. Either you make the push on inside or you go down here. They have to commit to the building at this point.
Mexi actually going down to his own Molotov. I don't know if that was shot out of his hands or what. Maybe stuck inside a smoke. I'm not entirely sure. Circle did, as expected, come back here. So, Melman going to find the confirm there.
Going forward, see what he can find. Boo and Northern Lights in the meantime. Not close quarters, practically almost melee combat here. And as I said, underneath the build, underneath the wall, finds the feet of one. He's going to go down. Perfectix falls. Spiro in the meantime trying to stay alive. EB is down, but once again, Crazy prone down, trying to see what he can find.
Bard and Clear both tagged up now. Example, actually looking to be the aggressor here. Going to sweep around the outside of the building. I don't know if he knows what he's walking into right now.
Not at all. He has Millman. So Alias backside still. Monkey compound loop up towards the north. They got angles here. They don't need to over-aggress, but Bard holding the angle well. Fortunately for Millman, example is there to save him. But for how long will they stay put? Because now we have question mark towards the west. They've not been engaged on really at all. They're starting to look towards the north.
Stardust, at least Metabate, able to bust this one out for the time being. Payne's desperately trying to find an angle onto the back side of the building.
He want points. No better points than the one you don't have to risk anything for. That's why I think we saw Vask come sprinting out with nades in hands just before when they pulled up initially.
Just going to tuck myself in. Like I said, I don't know if Navi have solid numbers on this. At least know that both teams are weakened.
Elman's just sitting there going, guys, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Yeah, actually, elsewhere, Ascend eliminated now in 12th. For Esports, solidifying their hold on the mini power station. And a lot of space to work with now. Anybody actually making their way out into the islands, those terrain islands out to the south of it just yet. I mean, Howl look like they're in a position where you rotate into the circle, obviously, on the next shift, but that's going to be very problematic. For Esports, have basically got free reign now of what lies in the center of the circle.
Clip, Molly, not sure if the attack came in the second time around to take him down to 0. I think he'll stay alive through this. Yes, indeed, he will able to get out of that one. No more utility, maybe a flashbang or two, we don't know. But here comes Navi, full sprint inside the building. But remember, there are 2 snakes in this house.
For example, priming a nade here. Clip's going to try and flash out the... Well, she's trying to get out.
I'll play that cars outside. I'm not sure what you drive at this point, but...
Yeah. He's just got inside it.
That's a strat. I mean, love and smoke. See how long that's going to grant you cover. Is this is admitting defeat.
I don't know if he's just ready to swing off the window, actually. If he's just going to...
Against the wall, isn't it? He can't peek out that side.
But I think he's swapped behind the driver's seat just now.
That's a strategy, I suppose. Issue for him is, I mean, Nav is still inside the circle. I think that's what he was hoping they wouldn't be, so that backfill kind of go back to where they were before. But the fact that they're still inside the circle,
big chilling on the top floor.
He is not in a hurry to move. The issue being now that with all the players coming up the staircase, you can see now up on his feet, looking out. He's going to vault out as well. He might just run into Clip here. He will. They're right next to one another.
Clip's heard it. He still gets the headshot.
And now he comes downstairs, instantly taken out by Melman. Who would have thought that with 4 Na'Vi players here, was the snakes to find one another?
And finally, Na'Vi stacking up and actually clearing through, systematically closing out this team fight. Uber still up on the hillside here, just providing oversight. Austrian Force, close proximity.
Silas is wrapping up behind him.
I think, again, this would be big brain. If Uber's been spotted...
I don't think he has been. Look at Silas,
Silas
eyeing the building.
Silas is in front of him now.
Yep.
It's like, this is Silas looking for an angle on the building, but...
As soon as he... Oh, maybe he's going to time it perfectly with Uber running back the other round. Had Uber stayed, he'd hurt Silas at this point. You could only imagine. And as soon as Silas shoots, he'd get him. See? Bleed out. He'd be there. And Sparrow falling to the ground. Up against the wall. Not too much to do. 13th place for Northern Lights.
Silas actually does get spotted out now. And that makes it a little awkward for the rest of Austrian Force, to be honest with you. Silas is in a position that Uber was previously anchoring from, but it's not really favourable. FUT Esports have already made moves out, by the way. We've got 2 sat back to try and provide a secondary angle here. Austrian Force just tuck into the vehicles. I think they're just going to try and find a ridge somewhere.
I was just going to say, do they spot Silas? Indeed, they did earlier with the angle. Now they know there's one trailing behind, shots coming through already, and that's not even then. That's FaZe Clan shooting towards him somehow. Silas still alive. Second time around, though, not going to happen. Melman, or example, able to get him down. Odin now, in the meantime, trying to hold off the east side, but they've got the 2 players from Austrian Force still on their feet here. Silas Pains now. Solo player left alive. 0 kills for Austrian Force. It's been a tough game for them.
Esports are taking a ton of damage as well. Actually losing one in the process. Exo on the pull up with a nade though. It goes straight in. Faris has found Iroh.
Full speed forward they go. Odin down as well. Confirmed. Lyron is still alive on the other side. This nade could be perfect and he finds 3. Payne's able to get him, doing all the damage Lyron needs. Unfortunately, not able to get him, but now they're all burning one by one. Payne's doing all the damage. He gets a fine. Would have been a 1-point game now. All of a sudden, we're looking closer to 5.
Artie, the last remnant of hope for Exalt. And a beautiful time pull up as well. Just so that FUT Esports can't recover from getting those reses. Bit of pressure coming in from Laos, actually. Even though he was still alive and kicking over here. Again, just basically a spectator to this entire event. Pains, though. I don't know if he's actually looked to reposition it. I mean, his player marker's still fixated on Artie.
I don't think he's wanting to move too much right now. He knows that he has one very close by, and as you can see, Diggory shooting over the top of him. As soon as he gets up on his knees, shots are going to be fired.
Well. He can't actually come to the left at all.
It's I think it's game over for Exalt. Would only imagine 7th, potentially 6th place, depending on what Pains does, is where they're going to end this game. If you're a FaZe Clan fan, that's what I was trying to say, you'll be happy with the circle shift going straight on top of the compound. Wu has to move. Question mark out to the west, have to do the same. And then Na'Vi up towards the north. Surprisingly, many teams there still with 4 players alive.
I think Na'Vi almost have to follow Austrian Force's path. And it's going to be difficult now with the numbers dwindling that they have to cross in the open versus FaZe. There's not a lot of safety on top of that plateau just outside the mansion.
I mean, hope that's, we would say either question mark or Wu ballsy enough to full speed send it into the compound. That'd be the distraction. You need to do the exact same thing from the other side, but can't expect either of the 2 teams trying to do that first.
Na'Vi got to wrap north, surely.
Have to imagine. That's exactly what they're doing. Art now sitting on his own. 40 bullets, nade in hand. For what he's got to work with. That is a pre-native. I've seen one. Might actually come out handy as well. He knows approximately where they're going with it. 2 first nade. Does it find anything? I don't see any damage at all. Actually, 3 of them get tacked up by that one now around the side. Tacked up again. An example finds him. Nate was thrown. No. Lups down the side of him. Pains. Well, found 3 just before. Let's see what he can find here.
As well with Molotovs here. Actually, the first one even catches on the Pains.
Sample popping off. We're waiting to see it happen today. Actually, well, waiting to see it happen yesterday. But Na'Vi finally getting something going here.
Actually, the Wu Someone to finally deal with Laos. Again, the only real feasible option they had here. What damage can Laos do? It's going to be nothing. Nixie going to find that before it even becomes a threat. Question mark as well. Use this distraction to get on the backside of this sloping ridge, but I feel like once these smokes expire, Na'Vi have a fantastic sight line on this.
You'd have to imagine Hobbit's trying to find somewhere else to play from, potentially. We'll see. Now, right now, he's trying straight. And the sides of the grid goes a little further around, tries to use whatever cover they can get. This time around, it's going to be a buggy. Not what he would have hoped for, but we'll see how they make use of it.
Plays quietly, still just holding on to the compound. Only got 4 kills on the board yet, but kind of committed to just play this one out for the time being. I guess the Wu is the next one to fall to really enable FaZe to get aggressive outside on some of these buildings, but wait and see actually how their numbers look. Down to 3 at the minute. Bestelok still disconnected down to the south, and that's what kind of keeps FaZe in check for the time being.
Issue for question mark now is that because they use their cars for cover, even if they get that one knock that would allow them to push the compound, there's no way they get into those cars and accelerate fast enough to make that happen. So I feel like question mark. They're praying for an all-side diff because they ain't going to be able to move anywhere.
I've got my eyes on Nixie. I feel like he's just prone all the way up to the back of that ridge.
Okay, FaZe, we see you. We see you getting the next one in their favor too. Again, as I said before, 4v, 4v, 4v3. All these teams been able to keep, well, their entire rosters almost be it alive for their entire game here.
Mark, actually, vehicles looking to mobilize. No, nothing else is happening right now. So question mark should get picked apart on this rotation.
Well, we'll see if any other team tries to make a move while they're doing this. They're wrapping all the way around the compound. There is a ridgeline on the southern side. This is map understanding, map knowledge. Perfect play by question mark. They got a sliver of a ridge, and it's just enough that as long as they don't jump out, well, FaZe won't get line of sight.
Again, I think actually because FaZe are split 1 to each building, there's only really one that has open sight lines on this rotation as it comes through. So credit to question mark in that regard. Bestelok, his days are numbered. Beck's just holding on to the doorway. Curious if actually when Na'Vi are going to make moves, because it's the same problem. Again, good signs this direction, but I don't think Gustav, certainly not 80 and Fex, can really help in stopping that breach.
seeing her face, which is the creepiest thing ever. I'm not making fun of her face, but why are we seeing her face if the reflection should actually be showing the back of her head? I'm not even sure how to explain this one, but let's move on from this one before she haunts our dreams. Okay, at number one, I personally think I've saved the best for last, and that's because this one is just super scary. Okay, here's the picture right here. Here's a woman in the water just looking around for something, I don't know. Little does she know that someone, or I should say something, has been looking for her. Take a look near her legs, just to the right. There's a huge crocodile or alligator. She is so super close to it. I really do hope nothing happened to this woman, but that truly is a very scary photo.
Law enforcement and first responders from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia are supporting Josh Shapiro as Attorney General, who's been tough on crime, taking drug dealers off the street and calling for more funding for police. As governor, he'll work with police to keep Pennsylvanians safe.
Kicking off the list at number 10, the Old Arnold Estate. If you're a horror fan like myself, then part of you probably wants to visit this Conjuring house. I don't know, 10% of me wants to peek in. Or Ed and Lorraine's Museum of Horrors. I think I'd rather go there. The house in the film looked a lot fancier than it did in real life. It was more cinematic, and they made it look even more creepy as a property in general. But that's what happens when you have millions of dollars in your budget. You're trying to make a more memorable horror film too. Now this is the real house. It's referred to by the parent family as the Old Arnold Estate, and it's located in Harrisville, Rhode Island. On the real property, there's a barn to the left of the house. So I have to say, the original kind of seems way scarier than the movie. I don't know, barns creep me out. Love spiders. Aside from paranormal horrors, the parent family also had to deal with financial ones. When the family did live there, a pipe burst and flooded their business, so they had to sell more than 85% of their new land.
Number 9, the Winchester Mansion. If you're a ghost hunter enthusiast, then the Winchester Mansion must certainly be on your bucket list for places to visit. It's certainly on mine, even though I'm an absolute scaredy cat. We know that. I just find the story so interesting and definitely spooky if you believe the tales. Sarah and her husband William Winchester amassed a huge fortune from their sale of the Winchester rifle. After her daughter died of TB and William left Sarah a widow, she consulted a medium who told her that she would be constantly haunted by the spirits killed by the Winchester rifle, so that could be like millions. She picked up and moved